Alright guys, let me know if this sounds familiar to you. You are 11 or 12 years old, you're fencing a Y14 SYC, and you're standing, you haven't started growing yet, you're still kind of a kid, but you're fencing that one kid who has a full-grown beard and he's, 6'2" at 14 years old, and you're thinking, how am I supposed to reach this guy? Or maybe you're, your little sister and you're fencing big sister, and she's 3 years older than you, so she's towering over your head, and you're thinking, what am I supposed to do? She can just hit me so easily and I can't seem to get close to her. Or maybe you're 23 years old, you have accepted the fact that you're going to be vertically challenged for life, and you're done growing, and you're fencing at the World Cup stage, and half the people you fence are over 6 feet tall. In fact, more than half the people you fence are probably over 6 feet tall. What are you supposed to do about this? So in this video, we're going to be looking at Kazuki Iimura, who's a fencer that I really enjoy watching. I think he's about 5'6" or 5'7", depending on the source. I just kind of Googled his height, and that's what I found. And he's been great to watch over the past couple of years. We've been analyzing him a lot at S-Class, and we're going to talk about a couple things that make him really adept at fighting taller fencers. I'm going to provide another list of other short fencers that you can watch that also do similar things, and hopefully you'll be able to glean something from that. So for a little bit of context, Imura is on the Japanese national team and has been currently coached by legendary fencer Erwin Lebeshu, who has a lot of acclaim, and the entire team has been doing really well since I think he joined. And what's really cool is that you can see a lot of Lebeshu's fencing find its way into Imura's fencing, and let's take a look at some of that. Alright guys, so now that we have some context, let's talk about what Imura actually does. And we're going to break this down into offense and defense, and we're going to start with defense. So for those of you who are turning in last week, or not last week, at this point it's been like a couple months since I published that video. I'm sorry this takes so long, but it takes a while to find the clips. But anyway, just a quick recap of last time we talked about fencing. This is Chase against Garozzo, and he's using these half-step searches, like that one right there, where he's using this to make Garozzo pull. And like his fencing is built around, or at least his defensive fencing is built around making his opponent pull his arm back. If he finds the blade, great, but you can see Garozzo starts to pull his arm back more and more until he is able to counter and close. And his options, for those of you who don't remember, are counter close in, counter close out, and parry post, or he'll find the blade and be able to start his own attack.
That's bait.
Alright, so if Chase's defensive fencing is built off of half steps by searching, I would say that Imura's is built with half steps and hops in much the same way, except he points upward to invite his opponent. By pointing away from his target, he's basically saying, hey, I'm open. You want to hit me? Please hit me. Alright, so just like Chase, Imura has three defensive options, but they're slightly different. So option one is if the opponent takes the bait, he'll do parry post. If the opponent hesitates because they're afraid of the other defensive options, he can attack and prep. And finally, if the opponent is getting too close, he'll punish it with a counterattack. Alright, so as you probably guessed, option 1 is he invites, the opponent accepts the invitation, and he does a parry post. Something I want to quickly note is that in a lot of these examples, you'll notice he does multiple invitations before he gets what he wants. Imura's second option is if the opponent doesn't take the bait, but they respect him, so maybe they hesitate, then he'll do an attack and prep. And this is different than a counterattack in the sense that attack and prep is his right of way. He's going before the other person has initiated, and refs are getting really good at calling this. So in these clips that I'm showing you here, you can see what he's looking for. The opponent will hesitate when he does his little hop in. So that hesitation is what he's looking for. So in this touch, Iimura is inviting, and MARINI doesn't take the bait, and because he didn't take the bait, Iimura realizes that he is not ready to finish, so he takes over. To me, this is attack and prep. A lot of people might think this is weird because, you know, MARINI never actually went backward, but he also didn't initiate an attack. Here we can see the same touch several actions later, and we can see it's very similar. He hops in, okay, MARINI hasn't gone, so okay, I'll go. And Marini's confused. He's like, well, hey, like, what, how, like, he's used to just being able to put his light on. He's, you know, testing his blade, but I think that's a lot of theatrics. Like, you can actually see if we slow it down that he was completely unready to actually finish. So it's not, yes, he missed, but he missed because he didn't really even try to go. This for me is like the definition of attack and preparation. You can see Marini's arm is completely back. He's been trained well, so he's responding, but he's not responding on his own terms. He's responding and missing completely. That I don't think would ever go on, and it's going to happen again later on in the match. Alright, so the final defensive option, and the one you're probably expecting, is counters and infighting. And this is one where I think the coaching really matters. Talk to your coach about how to do it, because it is different than Chase's counters that we reviewed last time, where he changes the distance more so. So Chase does a lot more in and out stuff. I would say Iimura does more body contortions and the angulation of his body to avoid the touch. And you'll see a lot of examples here, but that's something that you should probably work on with your coach. I think that he probably observes where his opponent's blade is and then makes a decision based on there, but I think these are partially reflex touches that, again, you train through private lessons. The main idea, though, is that through a combination of his footwork, those hops ins and outs, the attacking opponent will often just get too close into Iimura's counterattack distance, which is what makes it all possible. Alright, so now that we've studied a little bit of Iimura's defense, let's look at his offense. And first, let's look at the main situation he's trying to avoid.
On the bib.
So this right here, this is the nightmare. Alright, so there's two major ways that Iimura avoids this problem. The first is using rhythm, and we're going to talk about that right now. So just like his defense, I would say there are three major options that happen when Iimura changes his speed. And like most people, him speeding up is the threat. So when he speeds up, three things can happen. The first of which is punishing a counter. He's trying to bait a counter. Option two is that he gets close enough that he can actually accelerate and finish. And so after doing a couple rhythm changes, he realizes that even if the opponent does counter, he can probably get his light on. So much like his defensive options, I would say option 3 is where private lessons really matter, and he probably just trains these interactions. They look less set up to me and more reflexive, but they happen because, again, these interactions happen on his own terms. Usually after speed up, he fails his attack on his terms and then gets into a good situation where he can remise with close quarter stuff. Alright, so the last tool, and one that I'm not going to talk about too much in this video, is hard reads at ready fence, just because pretty much everyone has to do this at some point or another, regardless of height. You can guess to go compound, you can guess to go straight, and you can guess to parry repost, and you'll see examples of that here. So yeah, that'll just about do it for this one. It was really fun to make, and I hope you learned something. This is a non-comprehensive list of shorter fencers, just some of my favorites and some of the all-time greats. And of course, be sure to watch my brother Eli fence. And yeah, thank you guys for watching.